the Second Amendment to our POWs and veterans. And I understand we need a senator to come up and prevent you from getting a majority for that. I'll let you comment on the torture situation and why you stand up for these bogus mental designations that are given out and denied the right to bear arms. And I might add that Cynthia McKinney is running for the Green Party. She's an African-American woman, and she's great, and she's an option for those that don't buy into Barack or Hillary.
Okay.
You can comment. Thanks
Thank
a lot.
you.
Yeah.
This gentleman, whose name is Arthur, did you say?
My name is John Paul.
John Paul. He comes from Texas, but he lives in Brooklyn. One of the great, I've been born and raised in Brooklyn. I'm the first senator from Brooklyn in 140 years. And John Paul asked about the Second Amendment. And I talk about it a little in the book. He is saying, why are we preventing people with bogus mental designations to not get guns? This is a law I just passed that actually became law that said, I wrote the Brady Law in 1994 because New York was being devastated by crime and the guns came from out of state. But the Brady Law said not only should criminals not get guns, but those who were adjudicated to be mentally infirm. It wasn't enforced because when you went into a gun shop, while they had the records as to whether you were a felony, they didn't have any records about mental illness. And so Carolyn McCarthy, the congresswoman whose husband was killed on the Long Island Railroad, and I passed a law that required the states to actually put anyone adjudicated mentally infirm, mentally unable to have a gun, to be in the records. That's a good law. Now he's a Ron Paul Republican, he said, and John Paul, Ron Paul, not bad. Maybe that's part of the reason. No. He said, we are taking people who are not mentally ill, or not adjudicated, or people who have false mental illnesses and stopping them from getting guns. I don't buy it. In fact, I think our law is too narrow. The person at Northern Illinois University was not adjudicated mentally ill, but he stopped taking his medications, he had serious problems, and he could just walk into the gun shop store and buy a gun legally. And I think, you know, that I believe this. And this may be different than some of my fellow pro-gun control people. I do believe that liberals who say the First, Fourth, Fifth, Sixth Amendment should be expanded to as broadly as possible, but the Second Amendment should be seen through a pinhole of just militias. I can see why people who look at the Constitution objectively would say that's not fair. Why is every other amendment broadly interpreted, but the Second Amendment so narrowly interpreted? But my answer to you is this. No amendment is absolute, even if you don't have the narrowest interpretation of the Second Amendment. So, on the First Amendment, as Judge Brandeis said, you can't, or Judge Oliver Wendell Holmes, I can't remember which one, you can't scream fire falsely in a crowded theater. That's a violation of my First Amendment rights. Libel laws, that's a violation of my First Amendment rights. Pornography laws, that's a violation of my First Amendment rights. But we all say there should be a balance test. Same thing with guns. It shouldn't be absolute. And if you are a criminal, or you mentally don't have the capacity to have a gun, you should not get one. Now, the Ron Paul view, I guess, would be, he's consistent. He would say make every amendment as broad as possible, but it's just not practical.
Disagree. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir. I'll try to go one from the front, one from the back.